If you're in the police recruitment process or you're thinking about joining the police, then this video is just for you. Because the thing is, you're probably looking at things like this, the Competency and Values Framework, or this, the older one. My favorite, I call it the Wheel of Confusion, because it is just so confusing. The thing is, it doesn't actually tell you what sort of questions you're going to get asked. It just tells you about the values, the behaviors, the competencies, and they all cross over and they all confuse each other. In this video, I'm going to help undo some of that confusion by sharing with you 5 of the toughest final interview questions that you need to start preparing for now. Simply preparing for these sort of questions a day before your interview, or suddenly discovering these questions at your interview and you've not prepared for them, you've not practiced for them, is a surefire way to fail. And I know this because I've been doing this now for 31 years. My name is Brendan from Blue Light, and I've been helping people with the recruitment process, promotion boards, specialist interviews. This is all we do. We just do police stuff. That's all we do, because our team, myself and my team, have got them over 250 years worth of leadership and coaching experience to help benefit you. And we've put together structures, processes, and systems to be able to answer these questions. Let's dive in and I'll explain what some of these questions are so that there's no surprises at your final interview. So the first one, why? So why do you want to be a police officer? Now, forces often start the interview with this question, and they may tell you it's okay, this question is not being marked. But the thing is, it is. Because as soon as you start talking, they start writing. If it's not being marked, why are they writing it down? Why are they writing down your answer? Even if it's not being marked formally, they're creating a record of your answer. And they're marking it unconsciously or consciously in their mind. In this answer, you set the scene for the rest of the interview. Now, you may not get this question at the beginning of the interview. I know there's a few forces out there that save this one right until the very end. That really throws people. So you need to have your why under your belt. And even if you're not asked this question, you can weave in elements of your answer from the why into other answers, so that it provides the icing on the cake for those other answers. Does that making sense? Again, we've got a structured approach for you. We call it the timeline approach. Otherwise, it just ends up like this big scattergun of why, and you just sound like a rambling idiot, quite frankly, because you're just going off on all sorts of different tangents. So we create a timeline that takes you from the very seed, the moment that you first started thinking about joining the police, all the way to the moment where you're actually in front of them and beyond. So we future pace our answer as well. Now, in answering this question, they don't want to hear about clichés. They don't want to hear, I've always wanted to be a police officer. I want to help communities. I want to put something back. It's a job where no 2 days are the same. I know there's advice and guidance out there that tells you to say that, but just take a look. Do your due diligence. Where's this advice coming from? It's coming from people who've never been in the police. It's coming from people who've never conducted those interviews. It's coming from people that don't have the sort of track record that we have. They're just plucking phrases out the sky. And quite frankly, as an interviewer, because I used to do the interviews, the recruit interviews, oh my goodness, the cliches, the buzzwords, just no. I can see straight through them and I'm not entertained by them, and you just sound like everyone else. So instead we come up with this unique story that no one else has got that just nails it. All right, I'm spending a bit of time on that because that is so important. Getting your why right is so important. All right, moving on. Values. So the question that you might get asked here is, what values are important to the police service, or what values are important to you? This isn't your time to start saying, oh, I can remember what they all are. It's respect and empathy. It's courage. It's public service. Ooh, aren't I good? Don't I remember the CVF well? All that tells me is that you've just learned the words from the CVF. It doesn't tell me anything about your understanding of the values that are important to the police service or your individual values. And so this is where you can, again, surprise almost the interview panel, who will get lots of people just talking to the CVF. And they sound like everyone else. And it doesn't really provide any evidence of what their true values are, what their true beliefs are. So instead, we're going to give an example of the values that you believe are important that actually align to the values in a police service. So just as an example, compassion. You know, if you talked about compassion and why that's important to you, that would be an amazing answer. Again, we need to structure it properly. And we need to also to be cognizant of the fact that there's a surprise question that comes at the end of this one. So what values are important to you or the police service? It's often followed by, that sounds great. Can you give me an example of when you've demonstrated that value? Because if you're saying this is important to me, you should have an example of it. If you're saying it's important to the police service and you want to be a police officer, you should have an example of when you've demonstrated that value. So always be aware of the surprise question that can come after the first one. What we want to do is we want to integrate the answer to the second question into our first answer. So when it comes to asking that question, the interviewers are just looking at each other, just going, don't think we need to ask this one, do we? And that's where you want to be, all right? That's where you want to be. Okay, you're still with me, so still making sense. Awesome. Next, challenges. So what challenges does this force face? And how, as a police officer, do you feel you can help us meet them? So it may be asked like that, or again, like the values question, it could be asked, what challenges exist for this police force? And then once you've explained it, it'd be like, right, what do you feel you can do? What values or skills or behaviors do you feel you have that can help us meet those challenges? Again, it's quite a complex question. And if you get it wrong and you start going for I think resourcing is really difficult, there's not enough police officers to go around. Well, how are you going to influence that? How are you going to do anything to influence that? So instead, we want to be going for things like organised criminality, vulnerable people, preventing crime from taking place in the first place, community cohesion. These are all things that we look at in depth, and they're all real challenges for the police service. So it's not like you're telling any lies or anything. These are real challenges for the police service. But we've got this, like I said, we've got over 250 years of management experience, coaching experience in the police sector. We can give you the benefit of our experience so that you can talk about something that, again, has the interviewers on the edge of their seats. That's where we want them to be. All right, next one, impact. What impact is being a police officer going to have on your personal life? And again, this is a question that so many of you only answer at a surface level. We need to be answering really deep here. So many of you, actually I'd fail people if they said things like, I don't think it's going to have much impact at all. I know I'm going to miss some parties and maybe some social events. And of course, I'll be working at weekends and I'll be working night shifts, and I may have to work night shifts over Christmas. But I know it's a challenging job, but I'm ready for it because I've done X, Y, and Z in my previous employment, or I've read up, I've spoken to police officers, and I've got a good idea what it involves. I don't think it's going to have any impact at all. Fail, fail. Why? Because you've not demonstrated to me that your true understanding of the nature of the role, because it will have an impact on you. And this is where we need to be talking about well-being and mental health. And there's so many different avenues we can go down there to give a really good, structured, detailed answer that, again, has the interviewers on the edge of their chairs, wanting to hear more from you. That's where you want to be. They want to be hearing more from you. So that impact question, so many of you get it wrong. You've got to go into mental health, well-being. And look, I'm going to be honest with you, it will impact on your mental health. It will impact on your well-being. What they want to hear about is that you're cognizant of the sort of support that's available for you and what measures you think you can start putting into place as soon as you join the police service to help mitigate against those impacts on your personal life. And also we can bring in the impact on not just your personal life, but everyone else around you. So, you don't think that when you get assaulted, and you will be assaulted at some point in your career, there's no way around that, someone's going to try and hurt you. And I've come back home to my loved ones with a bruise or a scratch or a scrape. You don't think that when I go for the next night shift, they're not sat at home worrying, lying awake in bed, worrying about me, thinking, last night he got hurt. Maybe it could happen tonight again, or maybe it could be worse. So look, your answer needs to be really deep, so that the interviewers know that you've got a really good understanding of what you're going into. By the way, there's another impact there, pride. I'll talk about that another time, but look, pride in serving His Majesty. Pride. You see this is like my wall of pride here. That's when I was in the Bermuda Police, when I first joined in uniform. That's when I first joined in 1985. That's when I was in Special Branch in Bermuda Police. This here is from when the Prime Minister came to visit my patch, and that there is a lovely letter, personalised letter from the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Gordon Brown, talking about how much he enjoyed his visit and how he was very grateful for us keeping the communities of Sale safe. So there's like pride. There's all sorts of other things there as well. I'm so proud of my service, and so you should be as well. So that's something else you can bring in to your answer about the impact. But again, we can talk about that more and enabling you to do that in a very, very structured and detailed way. Last one, DEI. You've probably been thinking, some of you might be thinking, what on earth is DEI? Diversity, equality, and inclusion. And this question is being asked more and more. The reasons why is the Police Race Action Plan is pushing forces to ensure that questions around diversity, equality, and inclusion are integrated into the recruitment process. They're also being integrated into the promotion process as well. So for promotion candidates, might be something along the lines of, what have you personally done to improve the diversity of this force? For recruits like yourself, recruit candidates, it may be something along the lines of, why is diversity so important to the police service? Why is inclusion and diversity so important to the police service? So do you know the difference between the two? Do you know what equality means? And by the way, it doesn't mean treating people equally. It doesn't mean treating people equally. It means treating people according to their unique needs. So there's a lot there to unpick. Diversity, equality, and inclusion. So many people misunderstand what it's truly all about and why it's so important to the police service and why it goes all the way back to 1829, the Peelian Principles from Sir Robert Peel, the founder of the British Police Service, person who first founded the Metropolitan Police in London, set down 9 principles for policing, and DEI is woven into those principles. More about that another time. So anyway, there you go, folks. 12 minutes in, and we've explored the 5 toughest final interview questions. Actually, there's other tough ones as well. I could probably come up with 10, but that would be like a 20-30 minute long video. And I've only really got time for this 12 minutes, but I hope you've found it really, really useful. If you want to find out more about how we can help support you in your journey and lay down an outstanding foundation for your police recruitment process, then check the link in or around this video. There's a link to our Facebook group, and in that Facebook group there's over 26,000 people just like you who've either succeeded in the recruitment process and they're hanging around to help other people or go for the next rank or specialist position. But the majority of them are just like you, people in the recruitment process. We also have HR officers in there, senior officers. There's plenty of people there, positive action team members. There's plenty of people in there who can give you the support you need. Just join it and ask questions and get involved in the conversations. And I'd love to see you there. So I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye for now.